There's often confusion over the differences between persuasive and argumentative writing. Based on the college and career ready standards, the two genres have several subtle but significant differences. All opinion writing starts with stating a position, stance, or claim. However, the nature of opinion writing is that these topics are debatable. There are differing opinions as to what is correct, fair, or best. And according to the standards, the inclusion or exclusion of multiple perspectives is the biggest difference between persuasive and argumentative writing. With persuasive writing, the author presents just one side of a debatable topic. Even if there is mention of the opposing viewpoint, by not developing its reasons with evidence, the piece is considered persuasive. Think of this visually like a lopsided scale. With an argument, however, the author develops multiple sides of an issue, meaning the writer not only states that there is an opposing viewpoint, but he devotes multiple sentences and paragraphs to explaining the validity of it and other perspectives. The visual representation of an argument is a more evenly balanced scale. The inclusion or exclusion of counterclaims has a major impact on the body of a written piece. With persuasive writing, traditional instruction encourages students to start with their strongest reason, but this means that the reasons will weaken and fizzle by the end. A more powerful approach would be to leave the reader pondering the best reason. To create this effect, present the reasons in a 2-3-1 order. First, rank the reasons, determining which is the number one best reason, which one will resonate with the audience best. That reason should be saved for the final paragraph of the body. Then, identify the weakest reason of the three. It should be buried in the middle position, leaving the second best reason to be explained first. This organization allows students to start with a solid reason and save their best for last. Argumentative writing also has 3 or more reasons presented within the body, but it has the added challenge of incorporating the counterclaim. Ideally, points from the opposition are woven into each of the body paragraphs. Therefore, after identifying and elaborating on one reason, the writer transitions to explain the opposition's counterpoint. Then, the writer either concedes or refutes it before introducing the second reason. This creates a they say, I say organization, where the strengths and limitations of both perspectives are woven throughout the writing. Although this architecture is more sophisticated, it may be easier to start by simply addressing the counterclaim in a separate body paragraph. Insert this additional information all about the opposition immediately after the weakest reason. This would adjust the organization of the body paragraphs to be second reason, weakest reason, counterclaim, and first best reason. Beyond organization and structure, there are also important differences in how the audience is addressed within persuasive and argumentative writing. Academic writing, including persuasive, typically avoids first-person I and second-person you. However, there are some exceptions in persuasive writing. If the intended audience is a specific individual or group, then it makes sense to direct the persuasive message to them explicitly. This might include naming the audience within the opening or greeting, or speaking directly to the reader using an occasional you. Acknowledging this personal connection between reader and writer can actually strengthen the persuasive tone. Consequently, using first-person and second-person pronouns in persuasive writing is not necessarily wrong. But argumentative writing is much more formal. There is no relationship between the writer and the reader. Thus, it is always written using third-person pronouns. Although the writer is sharing his opinion, he replaces I with advocates and supporters, and substitutes you with opponents and adversaries. This word choice is essential when writing about a debatable or controversial issue that's already fueled with personal emotion. The more formal third-person point of view helps maintain a tone of fairness and reasonableness. It keeps the focus on the subject matter and not the feelings of either the writer or the reader. Persuasive and argumentative writing also have different approaches when it comes to tone and attitude. Although voice is an obvious element in persuasion, writers consider the emotional tactics that will resonate best with their audience. And depending on what information he reveals in each body paragraph, the writer likely adjusts how he says it. He may present one reason using a disgusted tone, a second reason using a sympathetic voice, and his final reason leaves the reader feeling motivated and inspired. On the flip side, the tone in argumentative writing is not as outwardly passionate as that one-sided persuasive. With the addition of the counterclaim, the writer attempts to demonstrate he's knowledgeable and fair-minded about the issue. This is intended to speak to the skeptical reader and ultimately influence his thinking. Consequently, the writer maintains an objective tone, relying on his logical reasons substantiated with evidence. The writer convinces the reader with his information, not his emotion. Knowing the differences between these two genres, it makes sense that presenting a one-sided persuasive is the standard at the elementary level. This is the foundation of a future argument in middle and high school. If a student can't woo the reader when presenting one perspective, he will struggle when challenged to juggle multiple claims and counterclaims.